How you doing, Gemini? Let's see what we got here. Gemini, Gemini, Gemini. Messages for Gemini. Celtic cross for Gemini. Messages for Gemini. Strategy. Attachment. There's a need to make a plan. What's stopping you from some sort of plan or strategy is being attached. Maybe attached to something that is comfortable for you, a comfortable way of life, or attached to that feeling of possibly attached to the dream and being afraid of failing. It's like you had a strategy, or what's stopping you from your strategy that you made is attachment and possibly even a fear of failure. Because if you have a dream, something that you want to go towards, which would stop you from going towards it, is afraid of losing that dream because of the failure, of failing at it. Stopping you from making a plan because you're attached to something. Maybe it's contractually, maybe it could be a marriage or a financial agreement, some kind of loan, mortgage, something that you feel tied to in some kind of way, possibly even legally. There was something in the past that you bounded yourself to, and it could have been something like a long-term relationship or a marriage, something that was actually bounded, that, you know, by like a court of law. Your foundation, second chakra, is Archangel Ariel. Maybe Archangel Ariel is a guardian angel. Maybe this is your sacral chakra, putting things into action. Your foundation is a need to put things into action because you have these contractual agreements, loans, things that you agreed to in the past that you're holding yourself to, and you feel attached to it and afraid of letting it go. Your goals and your conscious awareness, the best that can be accomplished at present. Women holding a heart. You feel like you're losing heart over something. You're losing a feeling of love towards it, but you still feel bound to it in some kind of way. And it's actually holding you back. Maybe you feel overwhelmed with all of the things that you're contractually obligated to in some sort of way. Mortgages, loans, car loans, debt, that you have a lot of pressure to go towards and to pay and to fulfill in some kind of way, but you kind of lost some kind of, you lost the drive to go towards it. And there's a need to put a plan into action and work, but there's a fear of moving forward in some kind of way. And it could be even a fear of failure. And it makes you not want to go towards it. In the future, a lack of rest and rejuvenation. Maybe there's a need to actually get more rest. Maybe there's a need to put yourself on a better schedule. Maybe you've been overworking so much because you're just trying to keep everything on top and you're worrying a lot about accomplishing it or going towards it, that you stop yourself from going towards it in some kind of way. And now you're worrying about all the things and responsibilities that you have to uphold because you feel bound to it. And you keep yourself holding back, and all it does is bring a lot more anxiety. It brings a lot more work, and there's a want to put things to rest in some kind of way. So you could just be done with it, but you still feel stuck. And I see a lot of sleepless nights because you're keeping yourself stuck. How you see yourself, your personal strengths, is patience. You're trying to have patience within the situation, within the relationship, within the situation, trying to deal with one thing at a time, but you feel like it's hard to go towards and to finish things up, and you feel like there's no movement, and you're starting to feel discouraged because of it, because it's like you're trying to hold on to all of these physical things and aspects to it that you're just holding yourself back. You're keeping yourself awake because of the worry of it, that you can't maintain it all. Or you might not get the result that you want. And I see a lot of worry that you're going to lose everything that you've worked to maintain, and because, and it's stopping you from going towards any kind of plans. It's stopping you from achieving the plans that you set out to do. How people and the outside situation sees you becoming unstuck. They see you becoming unstuck and untied to it because maybe you're trying to release yourself in some kind of way. And there's some certain plans that you want to put into action, but you have all of these obligations, or there's somebody around that's stopping you from going towards it, who wants to stop you from actually leaving those responsibilities, or even, but they feel like they are losing some kind of control. Because maybe somebody is trying to keep you stuck, even though you feel like you want to release it. And you had some plans to go towards it. And now that you're trying to put those plans into action, somebody doesn't want to let you go. And they feel like they're losing their grip on you. I feel like there's an energy around you that's been trying to keep you stuck to something that you kind of lost enthusiasm for, and you lost heart because of it. Like you just are kind of give up, because like it looks like you were trying to achieve and you're trying to make things work, and it's like it doesn't seem like it was working, and you kind of are ready to throw in the towel, but then somebody's not ready to just let it go. This is a ton, way too much. Envy, your hopes and fears of attaining the goal is to come out of some kind of envy. Maybe you're feeling envious of people's freedom to go towards things without being stuck towards an obligation that you agreed to in the past, or move freely in some kind of way. So you feel kind of resentful that you have somebody that's trying to keep you stuck, or you're just kind of stuck by all of the responsibilities that you kind of tied yourself to. And you don't want to be envious of people that have more freedom for things that you tied yourself to in the past and now you feel responsible for. And you're trying to pull yourself out of that. Maybe there's a need to pull yourself out of that. And stop being envious of the freedom that other people have because of responsibilities that you chose to take on and tie yourself into or bind yourself to. In the end, it's like the ties that bind and the responsibilities that you have. You're trying to, there's a need to like not be envious that other people that doesn't have that responsibility. Maybe you decided to acquire that responsibility in the end, but now you feel bound to it in some way, and where somebody wants to hold you responsible for it, but but maybe you need to pull yourself out of this idea of feeling that everybody else is so much more freed up to do what they want to do, and actually start having more appreciation of the things that you have and the ties that bind you. Like, let's say it's a parent with a whole bunch of kids and you feel, and like a marriage that you're kind of done trying to work out and work towards. And you're kind of envious of other people who doesn't have to deal with that burden. But there's a need to stop being envious of it and just trying to make the best of it, because in the end, it's something that you agreed to do as well. And you're going to find a time to be more appreciative of those things and that you do have. And although it is something that feels binding in some kind of way, it's also the thing that makes you you in the way. Those ties that bind, the fact that if you have a lot of children that you have to take care of on your own, you're gonna become a lot more appreciative of the things that you have, because those are the things that make you strive to do better and to do more and to become better, instead of blaming everybody else for the decisions that you made and the responsibilities that you decided to have. You become a lot more grateful for all of the things that actually need you and you decided to take on. And stop looking at it as being envious of other people that they don't have those responsibilities, and start seeing a new perspective that you really are blessed with what you have and the things that you decided to have and to keep yourself attached to. there's a need to find some appreciation for it, because those are the things that made you strive to be the best that you can be. And without those things, that maybe you wouldn't have gone as far as you did for trying to make yourself better and trying to do better and to achieve, because in the end, we could only be responsible for the things and the obligations that we decide to take on. And if it's children and bills and mortgages, it's a need to change your perspective and be like, I actually am blessed to have those children. I actually am blessed to, because they make me a better person. They make me strive to do better and to be better and to have the most of, become better than I ever was. And to give them a better life by making myself more of a better person for the children that you decided to have, or if it's for that mortgage and that car loan and, you know, all of those contractual agreements that you feel like, God, I don't even really want it anymore. Instead, there's a need to be more grateful that you have it. And it's like saying, thank God I have that roof over my head. And even though I'm worried about if I could actually maintain it all, start looking at it like, God, thank goodness I have a roof over my head and a vehicle to drive. And, you know, because it's the responsibility that a person has to make you strive to become better and more of yourself than you ever were. But there's a need to just put things into action and stop being envious of the freedoms that other people have for decisions and responsibilities that you decided to take on. And by actively pursuing it. And you have a lot of angels around you to help you along the way, but you feel kind of bound to those responsibilities. But there is a need to have some sort of perspective change. Action. It's time to put some action into the plans that you had in the past. And although you feel discouraged and stuck, you've had a goal and you've had a plan that you stopped yourself from going towards because you have a fear of attaining it, or a fear of even maintaining it and not just letting it all go. But you kind of want to let it go. This could even be a relationship or a marriage that you're kind of sick of, and they play a lot of mind games with you. They like to play with your emotions and make you feel like you're bound and stuck to them. And maybe they like to play a lot of emotional games and emotionally manipulate you by making you feel jealous, by being kind of self-centered and doing what they want. And it's like, well, great, now you could do what you want, you could do whatever you want, but in the end, I got to take care of everything. I got to take care of all the kids. I got to take care of all of the responsibilities, but you go flitter off into doing whatever the hell you want, and you make me responsible for everything. And it's kind of like even a feeling of feeling a bit, you know, sorry for yourself because of it. And you kind of like want to spite this other person by not doing the things that you should do for yourself, by overworking, overdoing, by overcompensating for what your partner refuses to do, which is depleting you completely as well. And I think that you kind of feel done with it. Like like you're done feeling like constantly feeling that you have to be envious of other people's freedoms, because it looks like you do have a lot of abundance, and it looks like you have a lot of gifts that you should definitely be responsible for. And it's because of the responsibility that you have that allowed you to attain those gifts. And you wouldn't want to cut off your nose to spite your face, like by punishing your partner by not doing the things that you know you need to do for yourself. Maybe there's even a lack of making someone else accountable for their part, and you're envious of that you're constantly picking up the slack. Could even be a work situation that you have to do everything. And, and you feel envious of the person who could just flitter off, because in the end you're overcompensating to deal with it. And there's a need to come out of that and to continue to strive to make yourself more autonomous, and from this person who's kind of over dependent on you to take care of everything, and to actually make him be more accountable for his part. Because where is it in your life, in your situation, where you're like, okay, whatever, I'll just do everything then. I guess I'll just have to do this again. And then you're allowing him and it or her, be enabling them to just not be accountable for everything. And then you become resentful because of it. And even resentful of the things and the responsibilities and even the luxuries that you have, because you're the one that needs to maintain it now. But if you're the one that needs to maintain everything, then there's a need to pull back and start taking care of yourself a little too, because that's where the depletion is coming in. Maybe I could feel like a little bit of depression as well, like feeling a bit hopeless, and about like, what does this matter, because it's never going to get any better, that it's like there's always going to be more to do, and let me just ignore all of things that I wanted to put into motion and I wanted to do because of it. And maybe there's a need to manage your energy more as well, and make other people pick up their slack. Because if you got a bunch of children and one of them is like in their late teens, but you're still taking care of everything, maybe you need to make them more accountable too. Instead of being resentful that you're doing everything, but are you putting yourself in the position to make everyone around you accountable for what they need? Because in the past, you wanted to be bound to something. You wanted to take action into something, but you feel like, I don't know, maybe it's not just going to work out because you're overworking and you're overdoing and you're not holding other people accountable around you. And if you're not holding everyone accountable around you, then it's really like a situation of managing your situation and the people around you as well. And stop seeing everything as a burden, because it's a responsibility that you decided to take on, and be more appreciative of the things that you have. I don't know. You definitely, there's a woman holding a heart here. A woman holding a coin. That is the Queen of Pentacles. You could be a mother with a bunch of children. There's a need to speak. There's somebody that maybe wants to give an offer to you in some kind of way, to work with you in some kind of way, or you want to work with someone in some kind of way, but there's a need to speak out what your needs are. But then maybe you stopped yourself from speaking out your needs because every time you tried to, you would be met with a lot of resistance and hostility. Or maybe you would get resentful because you expect people to read your mind and you don't speak your needs. And when you get resentful without saying what you want, you become hostile, and people around you become defensive and hostile as well. Or maybe you're afraid of speaking your mind, like somebody wants to give you some kind of offer and message you and speak out, but they're afraid of some kind of hostility. Maybe they feel that maybe you feel afraid to speak out in some kind of way because you'll be met with hostility. Or maybe somebody is just ultra defensive around you because they feel that they kind of don't want to hear it. Because there's something that they don't want to hear, or they don't want to see, or they don't want to listen. Because they kind of, so they kind of avoid you. Because maybe even if you did try to speak, and maybe this could even be a mother figure around you who wants to communicate with you, but you feel ultra hostile around them, and you're defending yourself in some kind of way because you feel that you have to protect yourself from this person because there's somebody around you that you don't really trust. Maybe a sense of betrayal that when you spoke that you weren't met halfway, or they just become ultra defensive around you because they just don't want to hear it. And I don't know which it is, because whatever you bounded yourself to, it's someone who is, they're not as cooperative as you would like, because maybe you failed to express yourself in a very productive manner that was like workable for the other, and or maybe you don't say anything at all, and then the moment that you say something is because you're so fed up and you explode, and then they're like, hey, what the hell, why are you exploding? You didn't say anything before, but then you explode because you expect people to read your mind, and then they become ultra hostile and defensive around you because they're like, well, if this was an issue, maybe you should have said something before, but you didn't. So now you're the issue and you're the problem because you didn't say anything before, and then they become ultra defensive because maybe there's a need to speak up when you do have that issue. Maybe there's a need to open up your throat chakra. Or I don't know, or maybe this person kind of plays the game that every time that you did, and maybe you did speak up multiple times, but then they were just never willing to work with you, that they just become ultra hostile because they're afraid of even like complying, not even afraid, but they just don't want to comply. And then they'll just become ultra hostile around you because they feel that they have to defend themselves against you in some kind of way. And then you feel like you just don't want to deal with it at all. And it's like, or maybe it's a game that this person plays around you. Where like anytime you ask something that they just become ultra hostile because either that they don't want to do it or because like it's a way that they play off of you, that they just want you to do it, and this is a way to become extra hostile, that they don't have to do their part. And this is kind of why you don't want to deal with it, because there's like no collaborative working together here, you know, and it's actually stopping you from achieving what you need to do in your goals. And maybe there's a need to work around, you know, the situation. And if you're dealing with someone who constantly doesn't work with you, maybe there's a need to change your direction in the first place, because if you constantly try to work with somebody that doesn't work with you, then it's just kind of repeating the same issue over and over and over again. And it's like, I bitch, I complain, I talk, but then they're hostile, they don't want to listen, they don't want to work with you. And this is kind of what, like, you know what, I'm over it now, you know? I'm freaking over it. There's no compromising. There's no dealing with this. And I either don't say anything until I explode, or I constantly say something, and then they just get ultra defensive and hostile as a way to not be compliant or work with you in some kind of way. And I feel like I'm sick of it already, you know? But you feel attached to it. And maybe they're using this as like feeling that you're stuck. Like if this is a partner who's kind of selfish and you have kids, like, you know, they will just be like, you know, extra hostile whenever you ask something as a way to not actually do their part, because they know that, you know, you've got all these obligations and kids, and they think that you're stuck. And you know, like they don't really have to work all that hard. It's someone who's kind of dismissive around you to the point that you feel crazy. And like you don't even want to say anything, and you feel like that's a way to like just appease the situation. I'll just do frickin' everything, but then you never get what you need to do done. So maybe there's needs to be some kind of change. And if it's working with the same person, and you know what this person is like, and you know that they're never really there or, you know, present in any kind of way, and every time they do, they play this mind game so they don't have to, and they become ultra hostile as a way to not do their part, or, you know, then maybe there needs to be some kind of change as into like your situation with them. Because if you know that they're not going to change, like, what are you going to do? Get a marriage counselor to tell, and maybe that you already did this and they're still the way that they are. Maybe that they're always the way that they are, and they never see their faults or issues. And it's like you keep on talking and they don't listen. Because if someone doesn't listen, maybe there's a need to stop talking and actually put action into yourself and what you need to do, instead of just feeling stuck and hopeless, you know? And that's a way to kind of gain back your autonomy, by putting your actions into it. Stop dealing with this person, you know, and maybe there's a need to separate from the issue altogether and this person, because, you know, they're not going to change. You can't change anyone. You can't change people's behavior. If they never listen to you, they're never going to listen to you in the future. And it's like you're beating your head up against the wall, because it's like they're dead set into not complying or not working with you. And if you've been married to this person, like, I don't know, like 3, 5, 7 to 8 to 10 to 15 years, you know, then the state that it has been for so long, it's not going to change. And the only thing that you can change is you. Because it's like they were the way that they were. you kind of attached yourself to it regardless. And, you know, it's like, well, maybe there's a need to change whatever you're attached to then, and stop being mad that somebody doesn't change into something that they never were. But I don't know. I mean, in the past, they worked with you. You felt bound and, you know, towards each other in the situation. In the past, maybe that there was more working with this person, but I don't think it's been like that for a really, really long time. And if you're continuously mad for being the way that this person always was, then it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like you're kind of doing it to yourself at one point, at one point, because like this person's not going to change, you know. So you could either stay with a person who's never going to change and just accept the fact that they're never going to change, because it's been so long that they never changed, that what's the point of always getting mad about it that they never change if they never have? Then maybe it's a chance, maybe there's a need to rework the whole situation as a whole. Stop being envious that they could do whatever they want and, you know, you're stuck with everything. Get the kids to help out more and do their part more, you know? But maybe this is like you're threatening so much, like, I want you to do this, and if you don't do this, I'm gonna leave. But then you always come back and you never hold anybody accountable. If you keep on making threats, you kind of do it, but you come back, and there's not really much of a need for them to take you seriously, because they know that there's no consequences for whatever I'm gonna do, because in the end you're stuck and you always come back anyway. You know, there's a need to actually change yourself and how you deal with things, and how, if you deal with this person, and, you know, stop looking at it like it's being mad that the, you know, people around you doesn't change, but they are the way that they always are, and it's like, it's kind of something that you decided to accept, and you're mad about it. And it's like, well, why are you mad about it? I always was like this, and you decided to accept it. So the only thing that you could change is yourself and your decisions at this point. You know, and start holding people accountable, and, you know, and stop making threats, because it just makes things worse. It just makes people around you not taking you seriously. You know, if you're gonna make a decision, make a decision. And you, in the end, if you're not ready to leave, then don't leave. But then, you know, like, you're gonna have to make like workarounds in the situation. And it's, if they are the way that they are, you either accept it or you leave. You either be appreciative that they're there for that part of it, or whatever that they're adding to the situation, or you kind of release it completely, but then you got to make that decision to not continuously go back. They feel like you're becoming unstuck, because I feel like you're becoming so fed up that you don't want to deal with it. And there's like things that you want to do, but you feel stuck to it. And, but the thing is, if you're going to stay stuck in it, you just got to have that understanding that it is the way it's always going to be. And if you could talk constantly till you're blue in the face for like 10, 8, 3 years, and if it's never really changed, it's not really going to change, because the only thing that you could change is yourself. Maybe there's a need to be more appreciative of the situation. and the things that people do contribute to it, and or appreciative of the things that you do have, that you know that you have decided to accept. You know, it's tough because I feel like there's somebody here that's just that's not working with you, and that just never really has. And you know, it feels like you lost heart in it, and it's stopping you from going towards the things that you really want to go towards and the things that you really want to do. And you find yourself kind of like staying up and being angry with yourself and frustrated of yourself that you're not going towards it. But it's like you're stopping yourself from not going towards it because you feel stuck and bound towards certain responsibilities that you decided to keep, and you decided to do, and you decided to take on. It's a tough situation, and I know the frustration because like I know like even in like I had an ex-husband like this who was just kind of selfish and self-centered and self-indulgent, where they expected you to take care of them like you're their child. Or you have this, maybe if you're the husband and you have a wife that just never does their part and is just overindulgent, and they expect you to pick up all the slack for everything and to take care of all the kids. And it's like, what the hell were you doing this whole time? But it's like, have they ever really changed? You know? Like, they haven't. So it's like, why the constant anger and disappointment that they haven't changed when they've never changed this whole time? And it's a lack of accepting that kind of responsibility of being like, okay, well, I gotta make changes then, and not the world around you to make changes. And I've seen this, I've read this before. They feel like they're losing some kind of grip on you, though, because maybe they did have a grip on you. Maybe they felt like they had something over you and you were dependent on them in some kind of way. But they kind of feel that also you're getting kind of so fed up with it, but you're still not making moves to actually become more autonomous either, you know, and to actually go towards your goals. And it is like cutting off your nose to spite your face. Like, I'm going to punish you by not doing the things that I actually want to do, because the only person that you end up punishing is yourself. And then you find yourself wasting a lot of time ruminating, but then you don't go and work towards your goals and what you need to do. And you don't make anyone really accountable for the behaviors that they do. You just kind of overdo it all of the time and be super resentful around you because of it. I don't know. And it's like this building resentment and anger and being pissed off, and but then when you do that, you kind of like, yeah, you kind of cut off your nose to spite your face. You stop striving for the things that you want. Maybe this person around you is just so damn draining that you feel like you have no energy to go towards it anymore. Maybe all these responsibilities are all so heavy that, you know, you feel like stuck from even going towards it. And I'm feeling like a kind of stuckness, but I feel like you're pulling yourself out of that. And it's a good start to change your perspective. And you know, if what you have been doing up until this point hasn't been working, there's a need to change that. And I don't know what that is for you. It could be anything, whether it's a job or whether it's a partner, whether it's like, you know, financial situations and all of these loans that you're not sure that how you're going to pay, you know? There's a need to put the work in to try to actually alleviate that stress. And maybe just the fact that you put the work in will alleviate that your stress. And it's like you're punishing people around you by not doing the things that you know that you should do. And maybe there's more of a need to change your perspective and be more appreciative of what you already have. And it's either that you appreciate it, you take care of it, or you get rid of it. And there's only kind of two choices, but if you decide to get rid of it, you can't keep going back, because it's only going to cement this kind of bad behavior as someone refuses to work equitably with you. You know, every time you make that decision and you leave and you come back, it just makes things worse. If you're going to make a decision to stay, then make a decision to stay and work around it. But if you're going to make a decision to go, then you have to, don't say that you're going to go until you're really ready to go. And just start making plans until you're ready to go. But then the moment that you're ready to go, you have to really go. Otherwise, don't even put it on the table, because they're never going to take you seriously. And that's what I feel like. I feel like you've threatened this person a lot, or you've left multiple times and you've came back. And it's like, it kind of just establishes their bad behavior. Because then they feel entitled. They're like, oh, well, this person isn't going to leave. But maybe they're actually kind of worried that you will every time they play that game. But then you always do, and they're like, oh, okay, good. You know, you think that they'll be more appreciative when you return, but it doesn't. You know, it just cements that badass behavior, because they don't ever have to really deal with consequences. There's no real consequences, you know, that they have to deal with, so they could continue to have that bad behavior, you know. So maybe that's the thing. If you decide to stay, then you just have to work around it and change your behavior around it. Get everyone else to help you out more and to delegate. Or, you know, start working on your plans and the things that you want to do to make yourself more autonomous. And so that way, once you get everything set up, you're like, okay, I feel more confident. I could leave whenever I want to, because this person isn't working with me and I'm fucking over it. I'm going to tell you I'm done. Then you're done completely. But you have to know when you're done completely. You can't put out these threats thinking that it's going to change, because threats never make anything better. And you know what? If you leave, you're thinking that, oh, they'll be more appreciative now that I'm gone, but I plan to return. You're not. They're not going to be more appreciative. They actually become a lot more abusive or entitled, because you make them feel like, oh, then you can't live without me. You can't live without this job. You can't live without everything I provide for you or I do for you. Or you can't live without being alone. I don't know how that shows up for you, but this is just how I'm seeing it. Which makes them more hostile. It's like, God, if you don't want to be here, then don't be here at this point. But then it's just another manipulation that this person is playing on you, because they have no intention of doing their part. You know, because they know that you're just going to always return. So they could just remain with that badass behavior, because in the end, it's like they kind of have no consequences anyway, and you've always returned. Archangel Michael below, he could be a guardian for you. He's one of my guides, definitely. There's a need to put more action into something, and whatever's not, if someone's not listening, stop talking. If something that you continually put work into, and if it doesn't work, then you got to decide If you're going to still continually fill that up and work on it, and you can't be mad at them for being the way that they always were, or walk away completely. And it's always kind of on the fence and being resentful because of it. So you don't make yourself accountable. Maybe you hold yourself back because you know that this person is just going to be extra hostile, so they don't have to do anything. And maybe that's manipulation too. And if this is a manipulative person, and you always knew that this is a manipulative person or situation, that they're always going to be a manipulative person and situation, how can you be mad at that? Because they were always the way that they always were. And it's like you accepted these terms, and it's not like it's a surprise. I don't know. Let me just give you some advice, because I feel like I was rambling enough, and I feel like you get the point, Gem. If you stay attached to something, then you just gotta accept it the way it is and stop being mad that it is the way it is. Karmic, round and round, you know, it's something that's like, yep. So, in the past, I guess, you know, like, you decided to keep yourself bound to it. You decided to pursue it or still, like, be a party to it. And because you imagined that it would be better. But, I mean, you've been through this game enough to know that it's kind of the same thing, that it's always the same thing. And there's a need to find some kind of acceptance to that, to have some kind of spiritual evolution, and to know that I'm going to take that responsibility now to kind of like realize that you kind of accepted the terms that this person is the way that they always have, and maybe it's a need to stop being mad about it. Maybe there's a need to stop overcompensating as well too, that this person needs to be ultra hostile so they don't have to do everything, so you just stop asking them to do anything, and then so you just do everything. And you don't even give yourself a chance to, like, you know, to breathe, to take a rest. And, you know, you don't even have, like, you feel like you're so drained to even achieve your goals. But the fact that you may feel that you're stuck, but you're not. But this person around you, it plays a lot of mind games and manipulation, and they wear a false mask to be like, you know, yeah, I take care of you, yeah, or, you know, but oh yeah, I'm committed to this situation. But in all of their actions, they don't really show that they're committed to this situations. And yeah, they may be a soulmate. It could be a family member, it could be a lover, it could be a husband or a wife. And yeah, you may have a soul connection to them, but I feel like it's more of a trauma bonding, you know, and it's more like a codependency. And yeah, you've had like maybe even past lives with this person and, you know, a soulmate bond, but you know, it doesn't mean that we're always supposed to be with that person and forever and ever if they don't change. And people never really change. They are what they are, and it's either you accept the terms or you don't. Because otherwise, you'll just be running around in a circle. Maybe even they say that they're going to change. Come back and they'll change, but then when you come back, it's always the same shit, you know? And it's maybe then you have to actually stop, like, accepting things. Like, you have to stop believing them. It's like, if they were never really told the truth before, they're not now. If they always promised that they would do something before and they've broke it continuously every time, then you just have to expect that they're always going to continue it. And it's going to be terms that you kind of accepted, you know? Maybe there's a need to just focus more on your stuff, hold everyone more accountable for what you can, and just establish yourself a little bit more, build yourself up more with a little more autonomy until the moment that you're strong enough to pull away. But till then, you can't really blame yourself that the environment around you doesn't change when they were just always the way that they were. But that's what I got for you, Gemini. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, all of that. Donation box below if you feel moved to do so. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.